Good evening, Cincinnati. Wow. This dinner has been amazing. Y'all are so nice. I'm from New York, and that doesn't happen there, so thank you. I want to thank the Human Rights Campaign of Greater Cincinnati for this tremendous honor. I am truly humbled being here in this room with all of you. The folks here at HRC Cincinnati have taken such wonderful care of me and my sister, who is here with me tonight. I'm so grateful to all of you for your kindness, your generosity, and friendship. Being here tonight is a dream. I literally never thought I'd be standing here receiving this award. It's funny because when I got the email, I first thought it's spam. And then I thought it was either some sort of practical joke or just some really heartfelt gesture by my friends who've known how invisible I'd been feeling. You see, even with my recent success, when that video was amazing, I haven't worked in a while. And we actors, we accept the ebb and flow of the business and accept that fun employment is often also times part of the job. But that unemployment can really make a girl feel unwanted, ignored, and invisible. So when I found out that I'd be here and the recipient of the HRC Visibility Award here in Cincinnati, I had a moment of self-reckoning. For so long, I have felt invisible. For so long, I made myself smaller for the comfort of others that I found myself to be a 38-year-old woman whose natural state of being was feeling alone and invisible. And then I got the email and I thought I must not be as invisible as I feel. And then they told me I had to give a speech. Now, I may be a good actress, but I'm a terrible public speaker. So, dress me up as somebody else, give me some good lines to recite, and I can do that for hours on end in front of thousands with confidence. But speaking as myself with my own words, terrifying. I immediately felt like I wasn't deserving of this. That my voice isn't the voice that they needed to hear. So I thought, what does being visible mean? Let me start there. What is visibility to me? I'm getting this award, so clearly I'm visible. People see me. Like many of us here in this room, as a queer child, I had a rough childhood. I fought an abusive family. Growing up as an immigrant, my parents did not have the resources or the knowledge to raise a queer child during the 80s. But, as we all know, that certainly isn't exclusive to immigrant families. I struggled to find others like me. I became a loner because I couldn't find community. I couldn't see others like me. My queerness kept me excluded from my Indian community. No one knew how to relate to a queer child and certainly had already made their minds up about who I was without ever really getting to know me. My Indian identity kept me feeling excluded from other minority groups within the queer community. Although I had much in common with my queer friends, our fight felt so similar. In many, many ways, we were so different. I struggled to see myself reflected back at me because I had no role models. I had no one who looked like me and felt like me. I made it through high school and college, where the more I began to express my true self, the more difficult it became to feel like I belonged there too. I became more alienated and invisible because no one knew how to relate to me, and it was easier to ignore me than to try. I had absorbed that I was wrong my entire life, not worthy of love, and certainly not deserving of all of this or anyone's awards. But worse than that I was not worthy of visibility. And everywhere I looked in society affirmed that. But something inside me knew to keep going, that there was a meaning to all of this loneliness and invisibility. I continued to learn how to survive through my own trauma when it wanted to betray my own existence. I hoped that my life would have some bigger meaning than feeling as unimportant as I did. Early in my life, I had discovered the magic of theater. I knew I loved the theater when my parents took me to see Phantom of the Opera at 9 years old. It was my third Broadway show, and I had fallen deeply in love with the mysterious man in the mask, the music, the costumes, Christine's famous blue dress. Not gonna lie, still want that dress. But it wasn't until I saw Gypsy a few years later that made me go, I wanna do that. I wanna do theater. I wanna be in show business. I don't know, something about singing cows and strippers with gimmicks must have really turned 11-year-old me onto the business. And although my parents had me doing community theater since I was 6, probably as a way to keep me out of trouble, it was only then did I start taking it seriously. And what I put into it, it gave me right back. So I kept doing it. I did it through high school and college and got a degree in it, and I'm trying to make a career of it. The high that theater was giving me was addictive. I kept making myself visible where I could. I kept making people see me. I worked hard, and the more visible I became. My artistic community gave me what my Indian and queer communities didn't. I had never felt more loved, more accepted, more validated, and more visible than I did with my theater family. My personal life took a tumultuous turn over a decade ago when I became a widow at 27. I picked up my entire life in New York City and moved to San Francisco, a completely new city for me. I knew no one, but this time my invisibility was self-inflicted. I needed the time to heal. But when I was ready to make new connections again, to be seen again, it was, of course, a theater company that embraced me from my first rehearsal. They saw me. They saw my pain and allowed me to heal through what brought me the most joy. And the more joy I had, the more visible I became. And that visibility got me my first network gig in 2011 and back into a business I had left because of the lack of inclusion. But getting this gig only made me feel more hopeful. Hopeful that the few of us who were truly lucky enough to even find work then were making it known that we were visible. We are a part of society. We are also human, and our visibility matters. Erasure was no longer acceptable. I also met someone new. I married an Army sergeant and moved again. This time in Seattle, it was the theater community that saw me, welcomed me into their community, and gave me visibility when I felt like I had none in my own marriage. Ultimately, my marriage saw too many hardships, and I became a divorcee. But lo and behold, what saved my sanity, my broken heart, and my bank account was once again the theater. I returned to New York and my professional career, which I had put on hold for years. I spent the next 2 years saying yes to everything. The more work I got, the more people saw me, the more people saw what I was capable of, and the more my visibility grew. But as my career started to slowly blossom in New York, I would watch my peers and their continued success as I struggled to pay rent and put food on my table. And the celebration and the joy I once felt when watching them succeed began to feel bitter. My career felt like it was moving exponentially slower than theirs. And I kept asking, when's it my turn? When will someone notice me? Because for me, work equaled my survival. It meant the comfort of knowing I could pay my rent. I wanted to give up. I wanted to walk away and do anything else. I felt like no matter the success I had, no one seemed to care. It felt like no one was paying attention. But I kept going, working, waiting. I found ways to make ends meet and survived on the generosity of others. And no matter the hardships, I kept doing what brought me the most joy, perform. I knew I had to keep going, if not for anyone else but myself, for that little girl who so desperately needed to be seen. And always, to my surprise, people saw me. Proof would be in the next job offer and the next, and even more so when my TV and film career started taking off, because then my visibility reached so many more people. And this journey of show business isn't easy, especially for trans folks. I still struggle to put food on my table and pay my rent sometimes, but tonight has made me a little more hopeful too. Hopeful that my presence in this community means something. Hopeful that my existence in this industry provides inspiration for others to not give up, to keep going if you feel alone, and even if you feel like no one's cheering for you. I don't do this for the fame. Okay, maybe a little for the fame. But I do this because I know that there is some little girl out there like me who feels the way I did growing up. who might see me on the TV or the stage and feel a sense of hope that she too is visible, that her dreams are valid. And in telling you my story tonight, I realized that even though there were so many times I felt invisible, there was always someone there to show me I wasn't. And if you're really, really, really lucky, like I feel tonight, that someone is the HRC. So thank you, HRC of Greater Cincinnati, again for this incredible and humbling honor. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for reminding me my story has power. I also want to thank my sister Sonia, who's here with me tonight. And my big brother Andy. My siblings have been my pillars of strength. I would not be here continuing to fight, to shine, and live my best self without their immense love and unconditional support. So I say thank you, Sonia and Andy, for always reminding me that my voice is important, that my existence is required, and my visibility is imperative, and for helping me write this speech. I want to thank all my trans siblings doing the work who've gotten to know the hustle intimately. I see you. Keep going. You are so important to this world. And thank you for also seeing me. And to the elders who came before me, whose existence, fight, survival, and resilience allows me to stand here tonight. Thank you for making this world a little easier for girls like me to be loved and celebrated in. And lastly, standing here following in the footsteps of incredible women who've received this award, Angelica Ross, Alexandra Billings, Candace Kane, women who've inspired me in my own career, given me strength in my personal life, and showed me what it means to be visible. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this Her Story too. Visibility is powerful. Visibility can be life-saving. And after receiving this honor tonight, I vow to always do my very best to live up to it. Thank you.